Hello, my name is Haining Wang. Today I'm going to present our work, CCTAA, a reproducible corpus for Chinese authorship attribution research for LRAC 2022. In this work, we propose a standard authorship attribution testbed for contemporary Chinese prose. The corpus is named CCTAA, the Chinese cross-topic authorship attribution corpus. CCTAA is, to our best knowledge, the first standard testbed for authorship attribution on contemporary Chinese prose that encourages topic-independent models and meets the demands of reproducible research. In the following, I will first review the authorship attribution task, which the proposed corpus evaluates, and two obstacles that motivate our work. Then I will introduce the corpus with emphasis on how we deal with the two mentioned obstacles that hinder authorship attribution research. Finally, two baseline models are run on the corpus, which we hope newcomers to beat. Authorship attribution is one form of text classification, but contrasting to familiar topic and sentiment classification, authorship attribution classifies text only by writing style. Usually, there is a set of candidate authors and an anonymous text written by one of the candidates. The task is to pick out the likely author of the anonymous text. The task has wide application in the fields such as literary history, intellectual history, and forensics. Authorship attribution is generally considered a straightforward task given sufficient training data. For example, a few thousand words can achieve high accuracy for contemporary nonfiction English prose. We're able to classify text based on writing style because it has been empirically shown individuals did leave conspicuous fingerprints in their writing. For example, they tend to use words or grammatical constructs at distinctive rates. Previous work shows function words and character n-gram features are good indicators in authorship attribution research. There's no doubt the community has achieved huge success over the past few decades, but we found two observations that may hinder the advance. First, some authorship attribution models are cheating by exploiting content shortcuts. For example, in a movie review corpus, there's a user named John who only comments on action movies. A model trained on both content and function words is virtually certain to learn association between John writing a document and a document featuring action movie specific words. The association may be sufficiently strong that the model may learn nothing about John's writing style. Instead, it learns John's movie tastes. The model may work well on John's writing in the movie review corpus, but it's likely to break down when presented with a, let's say, a blog post by John reflecting on current events because the topic shifts. Therefore, learning with content words will hurt authorship attribution model generalization on style. No matter how impressive performance the model may achieve with corpora have homogeneous topics. And this kind of model is less useful in practice, so good authorship attribution corpus should ban content shortcuts and encourage topic and content independent models. Second, using ad hoc corpora makes models hard to reproduce and compare. To make fair comparison between models, reproducibility is indispensable in the area and in machine learning community as a whole. To line up with common practice in other areas such as machine translation, authorship attribution corpora should uphold reproducibility with fixed training, development, and testing splits, and make sure they can be identically distributed. To address the mentioned concerns, we present a standard testbed for authorship attribution on contemporary Chinese prose, CCTAA. The corpus has appropriate level of difficulty and meets the demands of reproducible research. The corpus contains single author newspaper articles using simplified Chinese characters from 500 reporters from Xinhua News Agency. As the largest state news agency, Xinhua covers diverse topics from politics, financial, to sports and entertainment. Typical Xinhua newspaper featured formal language use. Most of the news articles are short, of about 400 characters. The genre is relatively rigid compared to common documents found in literary and historical forensic scenarios. but making the task more challenging will do no harm in the present context. As shown in the table, it also appears in all three splits, upholding the closed set assumption of many authorship attribution models. For training, every author contributes multiple passages, which consist of one or more paragraphs, with cumulatively no fewer than 5,000 characters. Also have exactly one sample in the validation and testing sets. Example in the two sets have more than 400 characters. And first, the corpus encourages topic-independent models. There are 6 topics are found in all states. They are international news, culture, entertainment, financial, political news, and sports. With a cross-topic design, a candidate's training topics will not appear in the validation or testing samples. The topic of validation and testing examples for an author may or may not be the same, so the topic distribution in the two data splits are very similar. Furthermore, passages associated with the entertainment topics are comparatively scarce in the training examples as shown in the picture. Model will need to correctly predict the authorship of entertainment news articles in validation and test sets in order to perform well. Well, this is challenging. Besides, we noticed reporters from Xinhua local branches tend to report provincial news, that is, news occurring in a particular city or region. The correlation between identity and geography may allow topic relying models to cheat where geography-related words, which also hinders a model generalization on style. The correlation issue is addressed by manually excluding the co-occurrence of provincial location between training and the other splits for half of the reporters. For instance, for a reporter with a large portion of news reported happening in Jinan, that is, the capital of Shandong province, the reporter's validation and testing samples have about 50% chance of containing news from that province, that is Shandong province. Also, the corpus supports reproducibility. Unlike ad hoc corpora, CCTAA has fixed data splits, so models tested with are directly comparable. We released Python scripts to help reproduce the CCTAA corpus from its parent corpus, the LDC Chinese Gigword Second Edition corpus. The scripts are hosted at codeberg.org/hiding/CCTAA. I will briefly show an example. There are 5 fields in the example. Also, field documents the author's name in Chinese. Split could be train, test, and validation. ID is identifier we adopted from the Gigaword corpus. Topic is predicted with a pre-trained Roberta model. Text field contains raw text where only the byline and titles are chopped off. So the text contains kinds of spaces that researchers may want to remove. There are in total 6,450 entries like this. Finally, we run 2 baseline models. First, we adopted a naive model using a linear SVM as algorithm and function character n-gram frequency as a feature set. The feature set has 819 common function character n-grams. Spaces and content between double quotation marks are removed using heuristics before feature extraction. SVM is a familiar classification technique. It's chosen for simplicity. We anticipate others can reproduce our result exactly. So we use a linear multi-class SVM with a penalty parameter C equals to 1.0. We also use a pre-trained Roberta sequence classification model by fine-tuning its last layer using the CCTAA training samples. Given the complexity of reproducing deep neural nets, we documented the model performance and released the script of how we produce that result. The script of producing the result is also hosted as a mentioned URL. Please only consider to use the linear SVM baseline for reproduction purpose. Both models beat random guessing, that is 0.2%, but none of the models can be evaluated as useful in real-world applications. we hypothesize the challenge comes from the relatively rigid user-based genre when authors have to follow writing codes and possible editorial effects, and most importantly, the cross-topic design. So we hope our corpus can help induce strong Chinese authorship attribution models that relies exclusively on stellometric signals. We refer you to the paper for more details. Please check out the URL for the scripts that reproducing the corpus and the baselines. If you don't have the specific edition of the apparent corpus, the GigWord second edition, please feel free to contact us. Let's figure out a way to work around it. We thank to Dr. Sandra Kubler, Zhou Yutian from IU, and Yujing Wang for resources, suggestion, and assistance with corpus preprocessing. Also, we are grateful for the reviews, comments, and organizers' efforts. Thank you for your attention.